Most gurus are telling you to sit on the sidelines until interest rates drop. They're wrong. In fact, 7% interest rates might be the biggest advantage you've had in years. While the crowd is waiting for a 3% miracle that isn't coming, a handful of savvy investors are quietly scaling their portfolios. We've analyzed the data and tested the numbers. High rates don't kill the BRRRR method. They just filter out the amateurs. If you can make the math work now, you'll own the market when everyone else is just waking up. Today, I'm showing you exactly how to navigate this high-rate environment. We're breaking down how to find motivated sellers who are desperate to exit, how to force enough equity to offset the higher cost of capital, and the specific math you need to ensure your refinance actually works. By the end of this video, you'll stop fearing the Fed and start seeing these rates as your secret weapon for rapid scaling. Let's be honest. Right now, the math feels broken. You're looking at the spreadsheets, and the numbers just aren't adding up like they did 3 years ago. Most of the gurus are telling you to sit on the sidelines. They say, wait for the Fed to pivot. Wait for rates to hit 4% again. But here is the cold, hard truth. Waiting is a losing strategy. While you're waiting for a miracle rate drop, the competition is thinning out. But you're still terrified of the most critical part of the BRRRR process, the refinance. Because if you buy a property, sink 50 grand into renovations, and then the bank tells you that a 7% rate kills your cash flow, you're stuck. You're trapped in a high-interest bridge loan. Your equity is locked in a house that's barely breaking even every month. It feels like the BRRRR method is dead. Like the window of opportunity slammed shut the moment rates spiked. You're worried that instead of building a portfolio, you're just buying a liability. You see the deals, you see the potential, but the fear of a failed refinance keeps you paralyzed. You're stuck in a loop of analyzing properties, but never pulling the trigger because the safe math is gone. The reality is, if you play by the 2021 rules in today's market, you will lose money. But the real danger isn't the interest rate. It's the belief that you can't make the numbers work anymore. So, how do we actually make the BRRRR method work when the bank is charging 7% or more? It comes down to one thing, the buy. When rates were 3%, everyone was a genius. Competition was insane. Bidding wars were the norm. Now, the weekend warriors have vanished. They're sitting on the sidelines waiting for a rate drop that might not come for years. This is your window. This is where you win. The goal isn't just to find a deal. It's to find a distressed deal. In a high-rate market, sellers are more desperate. They can't afford to hold the property. They can't afford the interest on their own loans. This means deeper discounts. You aren't fighting 20 other offers anymore. You're negotiating from a position of strength. Let's talk numbers, because the math has to work. In a low-rate world, you could get away with a mediocre deal because the cheap debt carried the cash flow. At 7%, that doesn't work. You need a home run on the equity. Imagine you buy a property for $100,000. You put $30,000 into a strategic rehab. Your total investment is $130,000. If you've picked the right house in the right area, your after repair value, or ARV, might be $200,000. Even at a 7% interest rate, a bank will typically lend you 75% of that new value. That's $150,000. Look at that math. You put in $130,000, you pull out $150,000. You've not only recouped every cent of your capital, but you've actually made a $20,000 profit on the back end. That is the power of forced appreciation. You aren't betting on the market going up. You're betting on your ability to make the house worth more than you paid for it. Now, some of you are thinking, but the monthly payment is higher. Yes, it is. But remember, you have zero money left in the deal. Your return on investment is technically infinite. And here is the real secret the gurus won't tell you. You aren't married to that 7% loan. You buy now while the competition is dead. You lock in the equity. Then, when rates eventually drop in 2026 or 2027, you refinance again. You get the low rate and the low entry price. That is how you scale a portfolio rapidly while everyone else is waiting for a sign from the Federal Reserve. Now, executing a BRRRR at 7% requires precision. You can't guess your numbers. That's why I use the investment software linked below. It runs ARV and cash flow scenarios in seconds, so you know the deal works before you sign. And when it's time to pull your capital back out, you need a lender who actually understands the BRRRR model. I've partnered with a top-tier refinance service in the description to help you navigate these high-rate loans. When you nail this process, the results are explosive. You aren't just buying a house, you're building a wealth machine. You get deep equity on day one and a property that pays for itself.